Any call to order? Roll call?
Second it.
Bevins,
Here.
Nichols,
Here.
Marsh,
Here.
Yachty,
Here.
Campbell is absent.
I'll do the approval of the agenda.
A motion to approve.
And second.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Passes. Public comment? Staff report?
Hey, so you've got my most recent memo report in your packet, which I'll just go over real quick. The city slate continues again. Our second year. March has been a month where we typically haven't had a ton of events. We didn't have any last year. This year we just had one last month because of a rescheduling, which ended up on March 2nd, and was really well attended. We just had our first April event over the weekend, the Bunny Clue Trail. We moved it inside for weather, but still had about 450 folks show up to that event. We've got our Kites for Kids coming up later this month. That's the 22nd. That's out at Liberty. That's in partnership with some countywide organizations as part of Child Abuse Prevention Month. So part of the idea is that kites take two people and to launch and fly. So it's an opportunity. They're a good activity for caregivers and kids to participate in and build those bonds. So that'll be up. That'll be the 22nd. And they are looking for some folks to come out and help do some kite assembly and hand out food and things like that. And you can find that volunteer list there on the City Slate website. We are just getting ready for some of those other May, June, July events. Speaking of July events, Blues and Barbecue is coming back, and we just had our first meeting with the folks who help us organize that just last week. We're getting together on Wednesday to go through all of those food vendor applications and accept the folks that we can fit there because we obviously have limited space. So we'll have to cut folks again this year just because we don't have enough power and space to accommodate everyone. In front of you, you have a couple of things about building North Liberty's next stage. This is a project we've been working on for more than a decade. So Centennial Park was purchased in 2010. Our centennial year is actually 2013, and that's when it was named. We planted 100 trees out there, but the plan has always been for there to be shelters and more play structures and a stage and pavilion. And over the past year, we've been working on a refined plan and applying for grants and working towards actually finishing out that master plan. So we've launched a public campaign to help raise $1 million to support that in community support. There's some additional naming right marketing opportunities that Jillian and the team are working on, and then there's some local dollars that'll be part of that. We're still working on other grants too. We were denied a large state grant that we were really hoping would let us do it all at once. So we will probably have to face this unless millions of dollars drop out of the sky. But we're really excited about what this will mean for Blues and Barbecue specifically, but also we think this is a great opportunity for an indoor venue for year-round events. South Slope doesn't offer its space in that way anymore. It's not their business model, and it became more onerous than it was worth for them. We think it'll work really well for things like corridor business journal events or family reunions or craft fairs. There'll be a pavilion out there that'll be great for farmers markets. We'll move our ice skating rink out there in the winter, and it'll offer some additional shade and outdoor space. There'll be a splash pad installed out there near where some of that equipment already is. And then, of course, a lot of less sexy things, but things like, bathrooms, which are really important out there too. So there'll be some more shade structures, bathrooms, picnic shelters, some wheelchair accessible play equipment out there. And on it in the expanded paths, which we think are really important as people who put events on out there, knowing that if when folks show up and they're have mobility issues or they use a wheelchair. It's really hard for them to get around. So some of that additional hard surface will help accommodate them. And then overlooking the pond is an honor garden. We're really excited to sort of move on, and we think that we know this is a unique asset, both for the folks who are here, as well as a magnetic attraction to the folks who should be here. We think it'll have a really good impact economically. Conservative estimates from Think Iowa City, our local CVB, for just city events, see that is generating more than $11 million in economic activity every year. So we're really excited to start talking about this more, and the feedback has been super positive. And folks can learn more by stopping by northlibertyiowa.org/next-stage. And we're hoping to go start doing design this year and to have the center open by 2025 for Blues and Barbecue. It's really exciting stuff.
Exciting. Yeah.
So this has been taking up a lot of the team's time, and will continue to sort of in the coming months and years.
Awesome.
Looks beautiful.
We're really excited about it.
Great idea.
Mike has been working on Summer Luncheon Fund, which is the annual program out at the Rancho House for free lunch for North Liberty's youth. It's not means tested, and then there's also an activity. A longtime organizer is handing that off, so it fits in Micah's wheelhouse. We're excited to sort of rejuvenate it. We know that we need to do a little bit of extra work to make sure it's reaching the folks who need it the most. And make sure that they're aware of it and they feel welcome. So Mike is exactly the right person to step up and do that work. Speaking of Micah, the Youth Council continues. They are continuing to work on their projects. One is to provide free period products in city facilities. This was inspired by a classmate at Liberty High who is doing that in Iowa City School District. They want to expand on that work. And another is to do they call them life skills classes. So they're going to start with doing some interview skills classes offered at the library coming up.
Great.
The Rancho House is starting to see more use. Next week, they're going to finally install the furniture, which is very exciting, permanent furniture, as opposed to the collapsible tables we've been using for the last year or so. But UAY, which has been using it every week for a youth program, is going to be holding the adult session of PrideCon, which is an LGBTQ youth Senate-focused event that they hold every year. But they hold a companion one for parents and caregivers. That will happen up at the Rancho House. The main one will happen down at the Kirkwood Regional Center. So it's nice synergy there. And then a few other sort of coffees. And we're going to start trying to do some open houses and some other smaller things inside the house too, once it becomes a little bit easier to do. Those are sort of the highlights for the last month, and I'd be happy to answer any questions you folks have.
I don't have anything.
I don't either.
Nope.
Great.
Was the next memorandum something we were?
We're going to talk about that in 6,
Okay.
if that's
Got
okay.
it. Yep. Okay. Department renaming and reorganization.
Yeah, we talked a little bit about this. Starting July 1, our intent is to be renamed the Community Relations Department. We've had a few names over the years, right? We started out as NLTV, and it was all volunteer driven. Then we became the Telecommunications Department, and then we became the Communications Department. We've been that for about 10 years or so. And it really, this is an acknowledgement, I think, of the change that the breadth of services that we provide more than it it forcing a change on what the department does, if that makes sense. It recognizes that wider scope. So this will come along with a few other changes. One, Jillian Miller, who you know is currently our community engagement coordinator, will be promoted to the assistant director of that department, reflecting her increased responsibility. We've talked about ceasing the cable casting of video. We will do that come July 1 as well. We will continue to run the bulletin board, and we'll actually transition that to an offsite thing, to a cloud solution is our intent, so that'll be a little bit easier. We won't have hardware to manage, but we'll continue to maintain that and cable cast that as long as that remains feasible. The one that impacts you folks is the decommissioning of this commission. Ryan points out I have the wrong name of this commission, and I apologize for that. It is, in fact, Communications Advisory Commission. And some of that is over the years, we've seen this, the scope of what this commission is charged to do has changed. And we'd love to get you folks involved directly in other ways, whether that's as neighborhood ambassadors or in planning some events or on other commissions. And just to make sure, because we think that that'll keep you folks engaged and give you the input that you, I think, want to engage with the city on, in a more effective way. There's some other exciting things that are coming along with this that'll happen later in the year. We are expecting to hire a full-time special event assistant that would report to Jillian, really build out special events a little bit more. They would first start working out of our office. They'd move to the new city hall when that opens, and most of the department moves there. But then eventually would be housed at an office in Centennial Park and would help manage that facility. Right? If there's weddings or family reunions or that sort of thing, somebody who's on site who can give tours or take deliveries or just manage that space is going to be really important to us. Most of the staff is going to be moving to the new city hall when that opens in the spring. We're saying spring. We're hoping spring. We're expecting spring of next year. So Derek, myself, and Jillian's offices will be moved there out of the the old aerobics room that we're currently in. Our intent is for her to stay at the community center and remain a shared resource there. We're excited about how that's working. She's got building really strong relationships with our rec team and our library team, and really sees it as important to her to help bridge those two departments so that they can provide more seamless service between the two. But I think it's also really important to note that there's a lot of things that aren't going to be changing despite all of this. And that's our community building work is still important. Our culture of collaboration with our team and across departments and with the community. And then I think it's the importance of what we do. I think it's really easy. We know what streets does, and we know what police do, and we know what fire do, and we know what the rec department does. And so it's a little bit squishy, but I'm a true believer that the work we do in community building and building those relationships and making connections and helping people get the services they need and the services they want and help make those connections, I think is really, really important. And we're really proud of the work that we do there. And that won't change at all either.
If I can comment, I've struggled to see the commission's relevance, I guess, over the last couple of years as your department's been able to take on more people like Micah. So certain things that seemed like mantles that we took up, were passed to her, and it's been really, really cool to see it grow over the last few years, and there's just less and less that I think we can that we can do to help you from here. So,
and I'd love if you folks want to remain engaged. As I said, I would really love to help find the right spots for you. Mike, I think we'd love for you to join like our neighborhood ambassadors program over in your neck of the woods. I know we've got one there who is looking for somebody to join up and would love to, for example, connect with you there.
Yeah, I really enjoyed putting that ambassador
Yeah.
together. Making phone calls, and
Yeah.
interviewing people that were going to be leaders of their communities. So that was fun.
Yeah.
What is the timeline for that then?
The timeline would be the end of, so it would be July 1, which would coincide with terms. So at that, I can certainly flag commissions that will have openings for you folks. There are some terms that will be expiring, and I need to look at who's. I think you might be coming to the end of your term anyway, and just find. And so we would have, what's yours is too. Yeah, that would make sense. And so we could meet a couple more times, or one time, or two times, or however many times you folks would like before then, in May and June.
Yeah, and I would be open to that as needed. So, definitely don't want to take your time if we don't need to.
Okay.
As well. So, kind of look at it month by month.
That sounds great.
Yeah, especially with new offices being built, the new city hall, and everything that's happening.
Yeah.
The time constraints are going to be pretty. People are going to be pretty heavily loaded with things to do.
Yeah.
That don't need another layer of comment as to how that's going or what they're doing or what else could be done.
And
Time to back away, I think, and let these people do their jobs and organize the way they need things done.
well, you folks all know how to get a hold of me, and I think the informality is always fine. Reach out with ideas or suggestions or comments.
Sounds good. Yeah, as long as more people keep showing up than you can handle to events, I think we know communications. Communications working. So, if we don't have any other comments, we can go to old business. No old business. We can go to new business. We can entertain a motion to adjourn.
I move we adjourn.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Passes. Adjourned.